Or is it some Joe Blogs down the road who's just taken his personal training exam after 3 months of training and says, hey, EPOC, yeah? What is going on, everybody? Gabriel Sey, aka The Truth, back with another Teach Me Tuesday. That's what's up. As always, if this video helps in any way, shape or form, hit that like button, smash the T, yeah? Shows me that you like this content and you're supportive of what I'm doing. Also, don't forget to share it. This time, let's share it with the postman. And if you do like this, do you like the color? Very nice, isn't it? It's coming to the True Beast Athletics site very soon, along with a couple other items. But anyway, that's gonna be in another video. Now, this particular topic wasn't sent in by anyone, but it's a topic that I've been wanting to cover for a little while because I've seen a lot of videos kind of addressing this, but I haven't seen any videos that give you actionable strategies. So let's get into it. This is the very, very, very common question of what's better for fat loss, high intensity interval training or low intensity steady state, HIIT or LISS. HIIT cardio is where you perform an anaerobic exercise for an intense period followed by a short break. An example of this would be doing burpees for 20 seconds, taking a 10-second break, then doing it again for a number of rounds. As for LISS, it's the type of cardio that you see most people doing in the gym where they go on the treadmill and they'll be walking or jogging for a prolonged period of time. Now, many people, magazines, articles, bodybuilders, a lot of people say HIIT is the best, flat out is the best for fat loss, and this is all down to one thing: excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That is a mouthful. Let's just call it EPOC. That sounds stupid too. Let's just say afterburn, yeah? This is where you perform your exercises, you'll do your HIIT cardio, and then you'll get home and you'll be sat down just relaxing and your body is still ticking over, it's still burning calories. So, you know, at the sound of it, you're like, right, that's sick. Like, I'll do this exercise and then when I'm sitting down eating my pizza, it's still burning the calories. Win-win. Although I would not recommend eating pizza straight after training. That was a joke, man, joke. So for all the nerds out there, including myself, you want to dig a little bit deeper, you want to understand, you know what, you want to see like studies, you want to see tested stuff, like does this actually work? Or is it some Joe Blogs down the road who's just taken his personal training exam after 3 months of training and says, hey, EPOC, yeah? But studies show, and I quote, incorporating exercise stimuli resulting in prolonged EPOC durations have identified that the EPOC comprises of 6 to 15% of the net total oxygen cost of the exercise. That was a mouthful. Let's break it down. So basically, if you've trained and you've burnt 600 calories, the afterburn effect is only going to be between 6 and 15% of that 600 calories. So technically, we're looking at pretty much only between 36 and 90 in this 600 calorie example extra being burnt. Now that's not what the magazines say, is it? The magazines are like, EPOC is, you know, you can do an extra gym session just sat in your sofa just because you did HIIT. So then a lot of people count this as negligible. They're like, there's not really much point. Yes, it does have a little bit of EPOC, but you know, it's not significant enough to warrant you doing this over steady state. That's what some people say. Other people, they blow it up out of proportion as a ploy to sell more programs. But then I thought of it this way: work and money. So I go to a job that pays me £600 a month, for example, and they say to me, if you can do this work in less hours, we will give you a bonus between 36 to £90 extra. I'm taking that shit because, as Tesco says, every little helps. Ching, ching. That's Tesco. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, Gabe says that HIIT is the best and everyone else says that HIIT is the best, so what's the point of doing steady state? It must be rubbish. Wrong. Now that you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about steady state and HIIT and the differences and EPOC, all that kind of stuff, let me give you some actionable stuff that you can take away from this video. When I prep my clients, I use HIIT, LISS, and I add another one for a number of reasons. Number one, the mobility of your client. If you are someone who is slightly overweight or you have mobility issues for whatever reason, telling you to go and do box jumps and sprints doesn't really make much sense, does it? Telling you to go really hard on the bike when you might have an issue with your knees that stop you from doing that, doesn't really make sense, does it? So there needs to be an alternative. Number 2, current training regime. So this is talking about like the intensity of your training at the moment. For example, if you do legs, a very, very intense leg session, and then you do HIIT, which is very leg heavy as well, it's a bit counterproductive. But you know, you can shift days and stuff like that, but do you get what I mean? That has to be a factor, whether it's in terms of placement or if it's in terms of taking it out for now. And number 3, the stage of the diet. So if we're talking about a competition prep, different stages of competition prep cry for different types of cardio. So let's look at 2 examples of 2 completely different people and how I would approach using steady state, lists, and the other one that I'm talking about. So example number 1 is an intermediate gym goer with average mobility and athleticism. And let's just say that this person's getting show ready. So they want to step on stage and they've got, I don't know, 16 weeks or whatever. At the beginning of prep is when you have the most calories, the most food, the most energy, your morale is right up there. Your mindset gives you additional energy on top of the food that you're eating. Do you get what I mean? So you're on a high at that point. So that's when you throw in the HIIT. Intense HIIT sessions, you've got battle ropes, you've got box jumps, you've got sled drags, you've got all of that kind of stuff that, you know, gets you moving, feels like you're like really working kind of thing. But then it gets to a point, and this is probably like towards the final bit, so like close to like the final 4 weeks, depending on who your coach is and how they've manipulated your calories and how many calories you're on. I would then start looking at introducing something called LIT. See, because it's fire. Yeah, because it. Shall I leave? All right, cool. Low intensity interval training. So I'm not going to take all the credit for this. When I was training for, what show was it? UK BFF Men's Physique. My coach at the time, Nathan Harmon, said, I want you to do this, low intensity interval. I was like, what the hell is this? I looked at it and I was like, right, this actually makes a lot of sense. Because once you get to a certain point of your competition prep and this is where your morale's low, you're angry at everyone because you're hungry, your calories are dropping, and you can't put as much intensity into the HIIT training as you would like. Not that you're mentally not pushing yourself, you physically can't because of the lack of energy. So introducing something like low intensity interval training will be on a treadmill and you're doing, say, an uphill walk, 2 minutes at a steep incline with a slightly faster pace, and then 1 minute at a slightly lower incline or even just a slower pace. Do you get what I mean? So there's an interval work in there. And I found this, that I've done this with a number of clients and it works wonders. Then after that, then you get to the point where like even that is tough and they're gassing out and they're like, I couldn't even complete it. They're drained in their mind, they're drained in their body. Then you drop it down to low intensity, steady state. And I know a few people are like, oh, but not everyone wants to step on stage, Gabriel. So that's why I got you with example number 2. So this is the other example that I get a lot of questions from, and that is the overweight beginner. First, the question is, should you bulk and should you cut? I'm gonna cover that in another video. So overweight beginner and below average mobility and athleticism. And their goal is to lose body fat. How I would structure this is, I'm obviously not gonna get them doing flipping box jumps, triple backflips into battle ropes, 200 kilo squat jumps. It's a little bit much, isn't it? So I'll start them on low intensity, steady state. Slowly introduce them to the weights, pick up the intensity in the weights because that's where it matters. The weight training is where the magic happens. The cardio is the icing on the cake. So I get them doing low intensity, steady state, get their mind right with the weight training. And then I would then pick it up to low intensity interval training. So they're getting used to that kind of like interval, working hard, working slightly harder, working less hard, working slightly harder. As their mobility and their confidence with the weight, and you start working on their mobility with stretching, then throw in the HIIT. And then, you know, the results. Oh my gosh, the results. It's just amazing. And that is how I would approach both sides of things. So not one is better than the other. Technically one is better than the other, but in the grand scheme of things, everything has its place, and that's what I really try and get across in these videos, is not one size fits all, and there's ways of using different techniques depending on your current situation. But that is it. But before I wrap up, the Teach Me Tuesday transformation of the week goes to Joshua Levi Baru. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I know I butchered last week's one, but this guy went from 57 kilos to 92 kilos in 10 months. The before picture you see is when he was at rock bottom battling anorexia and bulimia and used the gym to come out of it, and the gym pretty much saved his life. Truly inspirational. That was pretty impressive. Show some love. Hit the heart button and go follow them if you want to, if you like their content, but show them props. Thanks. And on that note, don't forget to hit the like button, smash the ting, yeah? Don't forget to drop a little comment. Oi, Gabe, I like how you explain the hit and list. I'm gonna test it out and see if it works for myself. Awesome. Don't forget to share it with your mates as well as the postman. Subscribe if you're new. Tap the bell to keep updated with all the videos. And I'll catch you awesome, sexy bunch later. Peace.
Whipping excursion. I gotta pick up that person. In the trap, whipping that working. You're not a gangster, you're just an internet version.